Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast.
This isn't two podcasters talking business. This is two business guys trying to podcast. Welcome to another episode of Pursuit of Alcohol Poisoning, where today we stepped it up with some Hector's Hard.
Thanks for
Are
that
you excited?
Yeah. This is Alcohol 117 episode Beyond This Point, the podcast where we debate business topics, both sober and drunk, to the same conclusions.
And we're sober right now for reference.
I had a Costco pizza earlier, so I'm still feeling that.
Oh, so that's why you're not feeling funny.
Is
that what happens when you get well fed? You just lose your personality. That's my secret.
Tyler came over and I barely said anything except I don't feel funny today.
Basically.
So,
which is a great premise for a podcast.
Not being funny. I feel like the most business people aren't funny, right?
No, definitely
You don't
not.
want to get your advice from someone who's entertaining. I want the most fucking boring guy doing my stock analysis.
Yeah. Well, I don't want it, but it's the right thing to do. I think, stock analysis, man.
Yeah,
that's where I've thought about.
I get all my stock analysis from funny YouTubers. Shout out Benjamin and Mikey Millions.
Proceeds to be like, this is where I get my stock analysis.
Yeah, Benjamin has a thing where he said, reading economic forecasts is like comparing the electric chair to reading economic forecasts. So,
Yeah,
I just buy the stocks that are going to go up. It's kind of like blackjack.
right.
Or not blackjack, sorry, roulette. It's like you see a lot of people betting on a number and then it doesn't come up and they lose their money. Like, what you just need to do is bet on the number that's next going to come up. It's really simple.
Right, yeah.
So just buy a stock and then it's going to go up.
Which you gotta, but it's gotta be the one that's gonna go up next.
Yeah. Duh.
Obviously.
So
just do that.
So just do that.
Anyways,
right?
thanks for listening.
The Bank of Canada raised rates today again. And we won't talk too much in the present tense, just in case you're listening in future land. But in a more general sense, why does raising rates hurt the stock market, except in that 2020 to 2022 run where they just kept printing money and then stock kept going up?
Well, I mean, in that period of time, wasn't that the interest rates weren't going up?
No,
right?
no.
Right. But anyways, simply said, because bonds are a better bet.
Yeah.
And there's trillions in bonds that are being issued.
Bond price goes up, stocks go down. When capsules go up, Coke price goes down.
Essentially, I mean, it's just the volume of cash that is just moving through the markets is immense, right? And if you can get, 4-5% on a bond,
why take the risk?
Why the fuck wouldn't you lock that in, right?
Yeah, when I saw actually
I wish the government issued junk bonds.
the U.S. government bonds are junk bonds. I'll let you know.
Rip.
No, they. I just saw that for the first time in a while, 3 months ago, the average return of a Canadian savings bond passed the average return of a real estate investment.
Wow. Yeah.
So
I believe that.
That means a lot of people now, combined with rising interest rates, should be pulling out of real estate investing, because it's why build a fucking, $200 million high rise you're going to rent out with condos when you could just put that same $200 million in a bond and make more money.
Well, I mean, we talked about it a few episodes ago. There's a number of projects locally here that just went broke.
Why did I just leave the music?
You're welcome for the background music. I didn't even notice it, dude. I'm sitting right here.
We had music playing on my computer until 5 minutes 45, and neither of us noticed.
Well, it was just so subtle. It was nice.
loud.
It was nice.
But it was it's my Spotify playlist called Concentrate, where it's just a bunch of like movie and video game music.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I was working on some stamps before you walked in.
Wow, I like stamps.
Anyway, yeah, no, there was that guy who had a big real estate project come in that he just fucking pulled out of like $500 million in the hole.
Yeah, well, there's a number of buildings that are just frozen.
Yeah, and the building's like half built, and he's just like,
no,
oh, fuck
and they're
it.
like not continuing.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of that, but actually, there's something that's been very prevalent, I guess, kind of in the news cycle in the last while. I mean, I've been kind of hearing about it for the last couple of years, but it seems to be picking up a little bit more, just because I don't know, people need shit to talk about. But maybe there's a report out. I don't know. I'm not a fucking reporter. Do your own research. The replacement
theory?
The birth rate has dropped below replacement.
Yeah, that's correct.
Globally.
Yeah.
Not just like Canada, like globally, which is the first time it's happened since the Black Death. That our population is
the
projected
racially
to go
ambiguous death, Tyler, please.
Right. My apologies to all the
Racially
Black
ambiguous people out
Plague
there.
identifying individuals. The White Plague people have done
There you
nothing
go,
wrong.
thank you.
They've done nothing wrong.
Wait.
Yeah, it was I think at the turn of the millennium, it was 2.25 kids per female, and now it's like 1.7 something or around that realm. Like we're below replacement, and developing countries are seeing this. Have been seeing this for longer, but globally now it's a thing. So it's like immigration doesn't even fix your problem, because like globally we're below replacement value, and it's not slowing down. Like it's trending more in that direction. So it's going to take a long time if it ever does swing back. But it's like it's one of those things where for people that are, stressed out about the climate, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
But for global economists and for, fucking anybody that's running a country or running a big corporation, whatever, not good news, because it's a general, like imagine it's like the biggest brain drain there ever was, because when you have less young people, it's like imagine it's a brain drain to nowhere. You're losing that what they call, I think, like liquid intelligence? I don't know, something like that. It's like the ability of young people to create new ideas and solve problems in a different way that people that are older necessarily don't see, which is why a lot of disruptors are young entrepreneurs, right? So that's just like in general drying up. So it's like there's just a lot of things that are going to be changing with an aging population, and we're going to be kind of on the forefront of that. Like our generation of millennials, Gen Z, is going to be kind of like that first generation of, oh, now there's significantly more old people than there is young people, and that's never really happened. So it's going to be weird. Shit's going to get weird. Like, for example, the ratio of like working people to retirees is like 3-to-1, and that's going to drop to like,
So eventually it'll be like 1 to 3,
like
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's fucking upside down, which, I mean, if you do the fucking math financially, it doesn't work. Like,
Well,
like this is where, like, we've talked about UBI systems. It's going to become completely necessary. Not UBI systems for 20-year-olds that are just lazy. It'll be UBI systems for people that are like past a productive age, presumably, unless we fix aging. And there's like so many caveats in here. Like, it's a fascinating conversation because technology and AI and mechanization and all these things are evolving so quickly. It's almost like we have to innovate our way out of this problem. So,
which
yeah,
that's we've been there before,
right?
As a human species,
it's
right?
it's not existential. It's just an interesting problem to think about.
We've been there before, where it's like, and then we invented the printing press, or mechanization, or the wheel, even name a thing.
Which is why I wanted to bring this up.
Yeah,
because I know a friend of mine. He's getting into he's getting a recreational management degree, and I was like, "What the fuck is that good for?" And
well, it's
he's
like working for fun.
Yeah, he said
managing a putt-putt golf course.
Director of activities and programming for old folks homes is what he's going for.
It's dark,
which pays really well, and he's like, the amount of people that are gonna be in care homes.
Yeah,
he's like, is expanding rapidly
it's
because they're
dark,
living longer and we're
but there's people on my stock Twitter, shout out Drunk Dividends, give me a follow, that have been talking about investing in REITs that exclusively buy like healthcare properties
Yeah.
or buy retirement properties.
yeah. One of my uncles, that's all he does. He just buys like 50+ life lease buildings. A life lease is you sign a lease at a fixed rate until you die.
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
is-
my
it's pretty dope.
my
actually.
grandmother has one.
It's a great program.
Yeah.
But it's also phenomenal for the landlord. It's just very expensive to develop that type of property and maintain it at the standard that's required. It's highly regulated. It's almost like getting into Section 8 in it's better, it's more lucrative and better than Section 8 for sure.
Because like
but-
old people will probably pay their bills.
Oh no,
Right.
it's all. I think if you're like signing a lease, you got to basically show like proof of funds that like you can afford this payment basically in perpetuity.
Well, because like my grandmother,
That your funds will outlast your life reasonably.
my grandmother bought her condo, with like the proceeds of selling her house
Right.
after my grandpa died, and her building wouldn't let her buy a condo unless you bought it in cash.
Right.
You're not allowed to have a mortgage.
Hmm.
I thought that was an interesting rule, but it's to prevent illiquid people from
Right.
getting the building,
Right.
getting the condo or whatever.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
I wonder if that would be like instead of buying a single family or like double family dwelling to rent out. I wonder if that's actually a way to go.
Oh, it's
Buy like old people condos.
yeah, it's a great business model. Like my uncle's doing it in like rural Manitoba. So like,
Interesting.
just like small town little facilities, like 10, 20, 30 unit places that are just 50 or 60 plus life lease buildings.
That might be something to look into.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, he's a builder, and I think he's like, yeah, I have like 3 of these things. He's like, literally a millionaire set for life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like with less than 100 units, and he's like, it's no fucking work
Yeah.
once they're set up.
Yeah.
But they are expensive to build because everything has to be fully handicap accessible, like safety.
No sharp edges.
Not-
Gray, all grays.
Like it's things like, for example, every single unit needs to be wired up with like emergency call buttons. Like we're actually bidding on a project that's going to be like 200 some condos of 50 plus, and I walked through one of these bathrooms, and there's like a fuck of fallen in the bathroom buttons in the shower, and then one beside the toilet, and one beside the vanity, and it's a button on the wall, and it's a string that goes down to the floor. No, I think there's one in the bathroom. Yeah, I think it's just one. So presumably, if you slip and fall, you can like crawl over and pull the string, and then someone will come and help you because there's full-time staff there.
Okay, my grandmother does not have that.
Yeah,
stuff.
it's like that level of like that's a whole electronic system that's going to be put in, like all the shower, like a curbless shower system, like all of that's more considerations. All the spaces are bigger, so yeah, more square footage, more things per square foot. It's I don't know what the premium is. It's got to be like 30% over regular build cost.
But you can probably get 30% more rent.
I don't think the rent is that well, but there's like all kinds of services and different things that are tied in. I don't think the rate is that high, but the stability is
Because
better.
they're going to live there for the rest of their lives.
Right.
Yeah.
If you eliminate turnover and
Because
tenant instability, then that's a huge portion. If you turn over a tenant every 2 years, that
for a month.
right, that is rough math. That's about 5%, 4% loss. Right. Just in that month turnover. That's if you lease it immediately.
Which a lot of places don't.
And then
release
if you're
immediately.
paying a leasing fee to a leasing agent, that
Yeah.
adds another 5%. And then if there's turnover, repairs, and maintenance, that's potentially another 5%. So you've lost 15% right there, just in 2-year turnover.
Well, and maybe if you're probably not making more than 15% a year or in 2 years.
Well, I mean, 15% of potential.
Right.
So yeah, either way, it matters a lot to have people that stay.
And if you have a mortgage and fucking rates are now 11% or whatever,
Well,
then it's like you're not making any fucking money.
Life lease is more like a rental agreement than ownership.
But I mean, like if you're the landlord,
right,
and you have loans on that building, and you built it 5 years ago, and you just refinance, and now you're paying double.
right.
You can't. It's not like you're getting your money out anytime soon.
No,
So
I mean you could always sell, but to someone who's got cash, which is why it's like that also is a struggle for the real estate market, because if someone's looking to get out, liquidate, retire, The money's drying up for real estate because it's flooding into the bond market.
Yeah.
So
That's yeah. But
another example, right?
and then hilariously or sad clown for me is like it's not really reducing house prices.
No. Well, it's slowing down the absurdity. Like, so I actually have vicariously through one of my employees, he's been house shopping literally for 9 months. And his problem is his budget is only so big. He's got very specific yet broad. He's like, I gotta be so and so distance from the city. I need so and so much land, and I need like a house that's big enough for my family. That's like not a piece of shit. And he's like, here's my budget, and he's like right at the bottom of that like accessible bracket. And basically, he keeps getting beat out by like dumber people that are like willing to overpay for stuff. Like not by a little, like some of them by a lot. But
Closed bidding, baby.
yeah, it's there's a lot of things that have been, barriers to him getting a house that he should have gotten whatever in a normal market. But the conditions have been getting progressively better
Okay.
over the months for him. But the thing is, his budget has also shrunk because of the interest rate.
yeah.
So it's like
your payment, if your budget, if
Yeah.
you're thinking a payment, like, okay, I can afford $2,500 a month in a mortgage payment. Now, in like 5 years ago, you were looking at a $400,000
Yeah.
home. Now you're looking at $200,000 home.
Well,
Just
like
because
320, yeah.
still, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, so it's his budget's been dropping, but the market's been cleaning up. So it's like proportionally, he's been doing a little bit better. But yeah, I think the more interesting thing about aging population to think about is in terms of technological innovations. There's going to be a lot of interesting opportunities, either like as an entrepreneur or as an investor, or like I think services business. Coming from someone who's in the service industry, in contracting.
you consider contracting service?
Yes, I mean we don't sell a product or a service, right?
So a house, right?
It's a skilled labor service, right? That's all.
Yeah. Okay.
So the premium on our services is going to go up and up and up because the talent pool is drying up for a multitude of reasons, right? So like my industry is like very secure because I'm going to be in demand in perpetuity, and it's only going to become more in demand.
Because old people can't tile.
No, because there's less young people, and there's a lot of jobs out there for young people to do. So anyone who can assemble and retain workers and mobilize them in a productive way, pay them well and retain them and whatever, like build a business, it's a lot harder than it used to be. You could just like throw out a fucking ad and hire some people, and then buddy brings like his nephew and his son, and then like they start training, and then you have like these employees that stay forever. Like it used to be fucking easy. Now there's none of that familial connection. Like people don't bring on friends and family really, and it's hard to keep people that actually want to do labor. Like it's fucking difficult. There's so many alternatives out there, especially with remote work coming into play. So anybody that can have whatever a functional business based on labor and services is going to do really fucking well, even though it's hard. But it's a different kind of hard. Like the difficulty used to be, oh, you got to learn how to code, you got to learn how to do graphic design, you got to learn how to work on a computer, you got to learn how to do this, and then you're going to get like those jobs that are worth a lot of money. And it's almost like flipping backwards to be like, oh, if you're competent in trades, now you're super valuable, which is interesting.
Yeah, because we taught robots how to do all the other stuff that we were telling kids to learn.
Exactly. Robots are more likely to replace coding jobs than they are to replace me.
Yeah.
Like robotics is.
Well, I mean, we can 3D print a house now, so.
Yeah, they're not nice though.
Well, not yet.
I mean, they can't do right angle, like 90-degree corners and stuff. Everything's
not
curves.
yet, right?
Like there's a lot of restrictions. I think there might be some 3D printed shit, but still, the 3D printer, literally all it's printing is just the walls.
Yeah. Well, that's the hardest part.
It's really not. Like a framing crew can frame up a house, like a 2-story, in like 2 weeks. Like that's not the big barrier, is not framing crews. Like sure, yeah, they're still in demand, but every fucking trade along the line is in demand. And who's running that machine? who's staging the site for them. Like, we're extremely far from you, like, saying, hey, machine, go to this address and put up walls
Yeah.
and come back here.
Yeah.
Like, we're decades away from anything close to that.
Yeah.
And decades further still from the following and support trades that need to follow into that. But, like, I'm talking about specifically construction, but I just mean in general services, robotics will play a role. They're going to have to, because that's one of the main optimistic angles of aging population is, like, we're going to offset this potentially catastrophic trend.
Yeah, for
with
every
robotics and technology.
Yeah, for every one retiree, we're just going to build a robot.
Right.
In theory.
We're going to have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there won't be enough people to physically take care of them.
Yeah.
Like, there won't be enough nursing staff. There won't be enough, like, government workers facilitate. Like, they're going to have to automate so many fucking CRA, like, you know, revenue agency or whatever the fucking welfare programs are. Like, a lot of that stuff's going to have to be automated and optimized. Like, a lot of things that are just, like, fat and full of people that are just doing scut and grunt work is going to have to be done, you know, in a more optimized way, which is probably for the best. But it's like, it got me thinking again about the UBI, the universal basic income. Like, that's going to come into play, but not for the reasons that people think.
Yeah.
Not going to be because there's going to be, oh, there's no jobs for all the young people. It's going to be like, no, there's no young people to do all the fucking jobs. Like, it's going to be I do believe it's going to be the reverse of what a lot of the fucking conservatives would have you fear. I think it is primarily conservatives that are kind of afraid of that. It's like, oh, nobody wants to work anymore and shit like that.
Yeah.
The reality is there's just more jobs than people.
Yeah, I think
it's going to get worse.
Capitalism is a system of infinite growth based on a world with finite resources.
Exactly.
And if we're finally getting to the point where we're not expanding anymore.
Well, it's not even a shortage of resources. It's paradoxically, you know...
No, but like labor's a
right.
resource.
Right, but yeah, like paradoxically, capitalism, the more successful it is, the more stable countries are and the more, like, stable people are, the more they put off kids, the less kids they have.
Yeah.
So it's like, in that system alone, it's paradoxical at a certain point, right?
Yeah.
And we're hitting that inflection point, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, it's like we're right at like this tipping point. We're like at a climate tipping point. We're at like a population tipping point, and it's like shit's gonna get fucking weird. Like, everything that's been true and good advice up until now of, like, it's like humanity's been in a bull market, and now we're tipping into something else.
Well, on that note, we're going to transfer here into the part of the show that you, the audience, can pick the shot that we take.
Woo!
That segment's called Shot Caller. This episode sponsors by Hector's Hard from Fort Garry Brewing Company. Drink sugar, have a good time.
Get hard.
Get hard, Hector.
Like the movie, not the sex thing.
There's a sex thing?
Yeah, so when a mom...
Anyway, cheers.
What are we shooting?
Taste it and then tell me.
Pretty tasty.
It's Di Serono. I thought we
Love
would
that.
stay on the we're drinking a bunch of really sugary coolers today. So
Thank
I thought
you.
we'd just stay on the theme and shoot a really sugary drink.
Apparently, if you eat just only protein and meat, your body will actually kick this process where it will turn some of that protein and meat into sugars.
Okay.
So you actually don't need, like, grains or carbs at all, because your body can basically create that out of
people
out of
do
meat.
the like meat diet.
Like
That's like
carnivore.
a thing.
That's why it's feasible.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, there's, like, you know, Inuit people, like Aboriginal Inuit people that are, you know, live up north and just subsist on meat alone for most of the time.
And snow.
Right. A lot of protein in that.
And berries.
Love snow.
Oh yeah.
So, you, Willows,
What? Jesus.
how do you, how would you see your business future in context of, well, now you're not... So I want to challenge, I mean, you're challenging yourself, but you're not just the liquor baron, right? Like, obviously, now you're the
Booze
stamp
baron.
You're the stamp baron.
Vineyard viceroy.
Stamp
I'll come up with
Caesar.
something. There you go.
Caesar of stamps.
Yeah, Caesar of stamps. There you go. I'll put that in my Instagram bio.
No, stamp czar.
There, now we're talking. Yeah.
Stamp czar.
yeah.
Way better. The Russian name for Caesar, by the way.
Yeah, stamps are. I'm putting that in my bio. I'm not kidding.
Isn't that Russian for Caesar?
Czar? It's not like, it's like
or for
king, I think.
Yeah. Anyways,
Lord.
czar sounds sexier. So
Yeah.
you're the stamp czar.
Thank you.
Put that in your. Please put that.
I
in
will.
Your bio.
Yeah.
You have to.
Right
Credit,
now it's
you
booze
have,
baron new money.
You have to credit me though.
Well, my Instagram's getting a little full with. I'm already like
With
Willows Evelyn's cousin is my name.
You gotta change that. Willow's
I'm still Evelyn's cousin.
for now.
She said she wouldn't tag me in photos because boys would think that we're dating.
When's the last time she tagged you in a photo?
This morning.
Mm-hmm.
There's a picture of me and stamping something. Okay, just get to your fucking story.
Anyways, so you're no longer the booze guy.
I still am the booze guy.
Well, you're more than the booze guy at this. You're acquiring businesses as a business.
That's what a businessman does.
Not always.
Well, they should.
Not everyone should.
Okay.
I've seen, like, I told a story recently of, like, a local, guy who bought a business for presumably minimum $3 million, could have been as much as $6 million, and bought it like 5 years ago, and is now worth zero, is going bankrupt. Like, not everybody should be buying businesses.
That's what happened to me.
So, either way,
Okay.
where do you see your plan going? Or where could you see your plan going if you were planning for like an aging population? What would you do differently?
Well, I think the aging population will still drink my wine.
Right.
In fact, we have a lot of greatest generation shoppers.
Absolutely.
A lot of my wine club members are
What do you
very...
think millennials will be drinking when they're that age?
Well, here's the thing, though, is that, like, millennials like a lot of my stuff, but a lot of them can't afford a lot of it.
Right.
Well, they can afford it, you know what I mean? Like, but they're not buying, 100 bottles, right?
They're a
But,
little bit more thrifty.
A lot of my wine club subscribers are a little bit older,
Yeah.
so...
Because young people don't subscribe to wine clubs.
Yeah, exactly. So, it is what it is. We we have one member that actually I dropped them, or they dropped themselves because they didn't, okay, whatever. I'll just tell the story. So they signed up last cycle for my wine club. We have a cycle every 6 months. And this customer signed up, and then their first billing was like $90 and their credit card bounced,
shit.
insufficient funds code.
Right.
For like $90. And then Zach, my business partner, was like, I didn't even know that was like how do you insufficient funds a credit card? Like, isn't it like limit read? Like, it may have been like a Visa debit or something. Who knows?
Right.
But anyway,
Right.
and
Yeah.
then,
Because usually it just says like declined, right?
yeah. And then we texted them from the business number. I have like a business VoIP so I can text people. So it says like it's coming from Shrugging Doctor.
Yeah.
So I texted them and they're like, sorry, my life is a mess. Try this card. And then and then tried it, whatever. And then this time around, their card rejected again. And then they just never responded, never updated it, and just because if people don't select their selections, we auto build them with like what our selections are. Like we just have like a monthly, our master winemaker comes up with a selection, and then that's what you get charged.
Master winemaker.
But so they didn't pick them, so we auto charged them, and then their credit card got denied again. So we're like, okay, you're just on hold now, buddy.
All right. Yeah.
But that seemed to me like a younger person, just the way they were texting.
Probably.
And then
I mean, if it wasn't with a hello, comma.
Yeah, well, just the fact that like my life is a mess, or like that's a millennial joke, right?
That's a very candid thing to say to a stranger that texted you.
Yeah, well,
to
like
a corporation that's messaging you.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, but like every time I'll make suicide jokes constantly, right? Where it's like, but that's just like you get it. Like
right.
even if you didn't know me, if someone was like delivering your mail, or like you're at a fucking Subway and they like drop something, you're like, I'm gonna fucking kill myself. You're not gonna be like worried.
Right.
You're gonna be like, oh yeah, like of course you just dropped a spoon. Of course you were gonna kill yourself. But like I'll make jokes like that. Like I have some friends at the farmers markets that are like, 50, 60.
Yeah.
And I'll just be like, I'm gonna fucking kill myself, and they're like, what? Like, just
They're like, you need to talk to someone.
generational gap, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, we have some older. So yeah, I think my wine will be fine.
So you should have a bunch of suicide elixirs, is what you're
And
saying.
and the stamps are all like, my stamp business is mainly business B2B,
yeah.
right? So we sell like stamps, the ribbons, all that stuff. It's all businesses.
Like unless like tangible physical presentation of human beings and what they do becomes irrelevant,
but even then,
you're in business.
You know what's funny is like now I've had my new business for 7 days now.
Wow.
So only
Practically
like
a veteran. A czar even.
only like 5 business days, right?
Yeah.
And I've only actually been in that office for like 3 out of those 5 business days. So I haven't spent a lot of time, but I've been going through invoices and stuff and just like getting a feel of the business. And I think there's so many interesting people we sell to.
Yeah.
So
You're gonna out your customers.
no, I'm just like, I'm gonna
Be like, these guys buy stamps.
my old the old owners are staying on to train us, right?
Yeah.
And so an order comes through of this.
Wait, how long is that period? I don't think I asked.
2 weeks for free,
Right.
and then they'll stay on as long as we need them at like $20 an hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And they're happy to work a little bit. They're like, they'd rather the business be in good hands than.
Sorry, I just processed that. $20 an hour?
Well, I just paid them like 110 grand for the business, right?
Still,
In like cash.
Still, that's pretty funny. I would take my hourly rate and triple it. I wouldn't cut it. Anyways.
Whatever. But no, I think that is tripling. If I'm being honest, like they did not work that much.
They're like, I used to make $450 a month.
Well, they're there 2 days a week.
Right.
Or so it's whatever. Not disparaging them. They're great, but they've been great teaching us. But like, so anyway, an order comes through from like this lawyer to get his like stamps, and she's like, oh yeah, this is the 6th time I've done this guy's stamps.
Yeah.
Because he's like, young lawyers just jump to different firms,
Right.
and every time they get a new fucking stamp, and they
Right.
come to us. So
Right.
it's like, and she's like, yeah, that happens all the time. And so like, what is it?
Millennial turnover is benefiting your 1906
that's-
production.
That's what I'm.
so good. That's so
And
good.
then the other one was we have a lot of police departments
Yeah.
that buy these like commissioner of oath stamps and stuff that it's like by law, as soon as they like a certain time period goes past, they have to destroy them and get new ones.
Mm.
And it's like that's part of the code somewhere.
So it's a cab,
True.
but we'll take your money.
Definitely.
We'll charge you double. It's like police discount.
But it's more.
It's a negative 100% discount.
I tried to do that in my bar. I tried to have a police discount that was
a police
more
premium,
money,
yeah.
but it wouldn't let me.
Fuck.
Like the Square system wouldn't let me.
It's like a surcharge.
No, I've switched my my mind on the police.
Oh, okay.
I don't like them, but no, I switched from not liking them to, well, they're gonna do their job. I'm gonna do my job.
Yeah, it's like a friend of mine is about to lose 6 figures on an OPP contract, Ontario Provincial Police, which is like whatever, fucking state cops. And yeah, they sound like the worst customers that have literally ever existed. But it's like, yeah, ACAB stands in that case.
Their job is to catch me. My job is not to get caught. So
Yeah, and their job is to tender a bid and then sink that contract through the permafrost into the molten crust of the earth and be like, I know you thought you were going to get paid for this job, but I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that you completely fulfill the requirements that I initially said, plus all these other things, so you never make any money, and you're welcome.
So
it's like, that's a public service.
what was your question? Am I still
What
going to
the
be in
fuck
business?
are you going to do that's like...
Yeah, I think both my
just-
businesses will be fine.
I agree. As a thought experiment,
What should my third business be? That
because like growing up, like we thought about, we both kind of, came up in the same spaces of like, oh, if you come up with this app, if you come up with this tech company, if you come up with this, with that, with this service, you'll make it big. Big, baby, big in Hollywood, whatever. How does that perspective change for you, thinking about an aging population being your demographic and potentially being a part of it? Like, you're going to be a part, you're going to understand it, you're going to understand context and relevance, but you're going to have less of a grasp on what the young people want and need.
So I'll answer that question in a second, but I'll start by saying I have come so much 180 away from the like get rich quick, not get rich quick, but you know what I mean, like the whole like
instant gratification for my cool idea.
Yeah, I am.
Which is the dumbest
the
shit
fact
ever.
that I bought like a 93-year-old manufacturing business that sells weird
it's quite telling.
is
yeah.
because
I think Gary Vee would fucking stand that, though, to be fair.
Oh, 100%. But like it's like I am so on the ship of buy something boring and just make it good and sell a lot of it.
Well, buy something boring that's good and make it a little bit better.
Because like my wine, people glorify,
right?
But it's not very exciting. People are always like, "Can we get a tour?" And I'm like, "This is a bunch of fucking vats." Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not very. I don't know. But like, I'm also like,
it's basically magic, actually.
Yeah, fair. But like, I'm like, I'm desensitized to it, where I don't think it's exciting anymore.
Absolutely.
But like, you know, boring businesses make a lot of like. I remember I've told this story before, but there was this like stewardess that worked on private jets, and they interviewed her, and they were like, "What, you know, who are these people that are taking these private jets all the time?" And she's like, "It's always the most boring fucking businesses. Like, I own 100,000 garbage trucks." Like, you know, I own whatever, like
Waste Management has like a PGA spot now.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
You mean Live?
No, like there's like a Waste Management.
No, you mean Live?
Well, yeah.
They just bought PGA.
No, they merged. Fair.
Okay, yeah. Well,
I like your
just like you had sex last night.
It's like, no, she had sex.
You were bottomed. Like, there's always someone who loses in a merge.
That's fair. There was a top. There's a top in that merger, and it wasn't PGA.
I think the Saudis were coming out on top of that one.
Yeah, because it's fucking back pocket change for them.
Yeah.
But no, like the Waste Management whatever event, like just if you look, it's like it's literally a meme because
ticker WM.
Yeah, they're this whatever event tournament that they have is fucking legendary. Like people like getting drunk and like stumbling around. Like it's amazing for the fans. It's very competitive and like why are they talking about Waste Management? It's like the Scotties tournament in fucking curling. It's like that Scotties, like the fucking wipe your ass paper Scotties.
Me and Zach always laugh. One of the World Series of Poker was sponsored by Jack Link's Beef Jerky.
Right.
And they were contractually obligated to say Jack Link's Beef Jerky hold cam, like the whole cams, like so you could see the people's cards. Like they were contractually obligated to say it like 100 times an hour. So they would just be like,
Jesus.
"Yeah, now we'll just take a look at the Jack Link's Beef Jerky whole cam," and it was like they got so fast at saying it, and we laughed every time.
It's like a drinking game that that you're gonna lose.
Oh, it's so
everybody
funny.
Loses that.
But that's
game.
it's like sponsored by Waste Management. Yes.
No, if you look at World Curling Championships on like
the Scotties
on Wikipedia, it'll be like the Sweden the Sweden Curling Championships. There'll be the Finnish Curling Championships. There'll be the American Curling Championships. It's a Scotties Curling Championship. Is a Canadian one. Jesus Christ, best purchase ever by Scotties.
Definitely. It's probably cheap when they got it too.
Yeah, massive. Like they nailed it. They killed it.
Yeah, but like, yeah. So I've really changed my mind on like, I want to get rich slowly now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like I've I know I say it in half jest, like, you know, I thought I'd be a lot richer. Like I'm 27 now.
Yeah, it's half jest. Yeah,
you know, it's half where it's like I thought I'd be retired by now.
Half of it's realism, half of it's like fuck.
And it's like
I was stupid.
You know, I know my potential, and like, you know, I honestly don't work very hard.
Yeah,
like I wish I was more ambitious.
You work a lot, but you don't work very hard.
You know, I talk to people that are like, I can't fucking sleep. When I was broke, I needed to just work 20 hours a day and fucking get it done.
Those people are not okay.
But it's like, if I have a few hours to play a video game, I'll play the video game. You know what I mean?
The people that say that shit are either A, lying, or B, like, sociopathic. Like, they have, someone that is at that level of need to do that thing is, like, not balanced and okay. Because, like, there's other considerations for your fucking time than your bank account. Like, that's an insane thing to say.
I did used to work like 18 hours a day. Like, like you were there.
Yeah, but
unironically.
It was fun. It was exciting.
But it was
right?
also because it was required.
And you were doing it with your friends. You were doing it as, like...
We would have gone under if I didn't.
Right.
Like, now I work every day, basically, but not, like, 12 hours, maybe.
Yeah. And it was novel at the time and exciting to be doing something like that. Like,
yeah.
It's not the same when you're in your 30s saying that, like, I couldn't sleep because my bank account wasn't big enough. Like, that's a fucked up, like, TLC type shit to say. Like, that is, it's not okay. Like, that's not a good way to look at life. It is not, like, 'cause what happens when your bank account hits that number? What do you have left? You have an obsessive compulsive need to make your bank account bigger, and that's it.
Which is where you get these, like, despot, you know...
That's where you get an Elon Musk. Like, look at that fucker. He's not okay.
Yeah.
He's struggling. Have you seen his, like, physique? Like, a guy that rich shouldn't look like a Pillsbury Doughboy.
See, but
he doesn't understand.
Do you see that tweet, though, that was like, look at Elon shirtless and look at Jeff Bezos shirtless?
Well, Bezos is retired, right?
I much rather trust Elon with my money because he's like not fit. He's fucking pale as fuck. That guy's working 20 hours a day. Like,
I'm not.
Bezos is out banging models and stuff.
I'm not saying he's not a good investment. I'm just saying the guy's got, like, he's got another thing going. He's got a compulsion.
Hey, I'm mentally ill too.
Works,
I get it.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, I was reading about this, like, lawsuit that's been filed against Elon and Twitter, wrongful termination from a bunch of his tweeps. Apparently, which is hilarious. They call themselves tweeps.
I hate that.
I also hate that. Like, it just throw the case out at that point, right? If
I
you
would
self-identify as a tweep,
if I was the judge, I'd be like,
fuck you.
Every day I wake up dreading the kind of cases that I will receive. Am I going to see videos of somebody beheading children? Am I going to see a serial rapist? Today I woke up and read a file that identified the plaintiff here as a tweep, and my humanity died. Not only am I dismissing this case, the crowd starts going wild. Not only am I dismissing this case, but I am dismissing it with great prejudice. And then the defense starts going, Your Honor, and he starts banging the fucking gavel. Great prejudice!
He's banging the gavel on the fucking defense's forehead. Or on the plaintiff's forehead. Yeah.
That's brilliant. I don't know where that came from.
That's brilliant piece of comedy.
Maybe I do feel funny today.
You are pretty funny today.
Thanks,
that's when you're the funniest. But yeah, this case basically details just Elon being like, he's basically, his entire personality is like, rules don't apply to me, which is fair because you're the richest man and they don't mostly. And for example, like, there's when you have employees in a business, you make payments for, let's say, benefits in pension.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't really care about those.
But you have to pay them.
Well,
you have to.
Well,
it's like, yeah. And he's like, we're not paying any bills unless they can justify as to why they should be paid. And like benefits, insurance, taxes, wages.
Actually,
subcontractors that provide critical services to keep Twitter alive. Like, all these things, he's like, don't pay them. Fuck them.
This is a message to you, CRA. You will now have to justify to me why I should pay my taxes.
Literally. So, I think I mentioned last time briefly, but DeSantis announced his presidency over, like, Twitter Spaces.
What, Meatball Ron?
Yeah, Meatball Ron.
Yeah.
And it crashed.
Yeah.
And it fucking flopped.
Yeah.
That is because Musk ordered his accounting department, whatever.
His tweeps,
thank you, to stop paying the subcontractor that was responsible for the upkeep of those servers and that service.
Can't you just like upload it to AWS?
Whoever it was, he's like, I'm not paying these people
Jim
anymore.
from Minnesota.
He's like, what is this? I'm not paying for this service. Refused like payment, and they're like, well, fuck you. We're not providing the service anymore. So then when he launched this big thing, everything fucking crashed because all of the infrastructure that was built basically folded in on itself because he stopped paying the bills. And it's like, I don't care how genius you think Musk is. That's stupid. Like, he made that instruction of, like, don't pay that bill. Well, he made an instruction of don't pay any bills. But in general, and then he's like, oh, let's do this massive event. Let's do the biggest Twitter Spaces thing that's ever been done without paying the bills for the services. And it fucking falls on his face, and he looks like an idiot the whole time. It's
well,
like,
and now he doesn't work there anymore, so whatever.
yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's fucking incredible. Anyways.
Well, let's take a second shot here, because if we ever take a shot that's under 40%, then we take a second one. That's the rule.
Zappa.
So what should my third business be?
That's where I was going with this whole
My
line of
friend the other
questioning.
day was like, are you gonna buy another business? And I'm like, I just bought this one 6 days ago. Like, can you
Yeah.
let me get my foot bearings before I buy another one?
Let me see a single like dollar in return.
Well, we like don't have enough money in the bank account to pay the rent at the end of the month
Right.
for the new business.
It's got to come in.
It has to come in. We have like, because a lot of the credit terms we have is like 30 days to pay with a lot of these big clients. So it's like
Right.
we don't have the money. So I was just making a joke to the previous owner where she's like, oh yeah, you'll have to buy this and order this. And I'm like, yeah, we have like $200 in the bank. She's like, it'll come. Don't worry. I'm like, you better. Well, and now like,
It's far more
we're
like
going through a bunch of shit right now because company's office is fucking me as they always do.
Sure.
So we did, here's a little business tip if you're curious. Not a business tip, but like a look behind the curtain. So we're actually a completely new entity than the old business.
okay.
We did, so there's two things. There's two ways you can go about buying a business. First is I can't remember. It's basically buying the brand name, buying the company, essentially. A share purchase. There you go.
Okay.
So you can buy the shares of the company,
Right.
like 100% of them,
Right.
then you own them. But what we did is called an asset purchase. So I formed a new corporation, a just number company. So if you're not familiar with that, I think most jurisdictions have them. I think in America you can do them too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an LLC,
so
LLC with a fucking number,
Yeah, so it just doesn't have a name, it's just a number. So mine is this
which is just laziness on part of the person filing for the corporation.
no, there's a lot of ways to there's a lot of reasons to do it like this. So the reason
I mean, you could name the numbered corporation; it wouldn't change anything.
correct. However, my lawyer's office just owns like 100 of these
Right.
and just keeps them on the shelf.
Right.
And then when I wanted one, he just assigned me one and just changed the directors.
Right.
So I got it in a day instead of 3 weeks.
Right.
So
That's fair.
yeah, so let's say it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Manitoba Limited is my number company, and what I did was buy every single thing that Maple Leaf Rubber Stamp owned.
Intellectual property, every asset, every dollar, everything, every contract, everything they own.
But you know what I don't buy? Judgments against them, fines they need to pay,
Right. Liabilities.
liabilities, anyone trying to sue them,
Yeah. Historical exposure.
Yeah.
Whatever.
because, this is completely hypothetical. I want to say that right off the bat because the two owners that are training us are lovely, great people. But let's say there's some sort of assault charge against a former employee.
Right.
And then, like in this Trump getting sued for sexual harassment or no, sorry, it was rape.
Yeah.
So I don't want to downplay it.
He crossed that line.
Yeah, he raped a girl, but so maybe, and she waited like 30 years before she sued him, right?
Right.
So
Well,
but just
yeah.
listen, in like 10 years, someone who got sexually assaulted by one of the owners of the stamp business which again this is just hypothetical. They did not do anything to anyone. They're lovely people, but
Allegedly.
it is like 30 years ago. This company's ownership assaulted me. I want restitution. That company doesn't exist anymore, sweetie.
Right.
So go back to your fucking knitting clubs.
And Buddy's dead.
And Buddy's dead. But anyway, so the company that doesn't exist. So mine is brand new.
Right.
Now what we're doing, then you just do what's called DBA, or doing business as. So you don't actually change your corporation name.
DB. I thought it was operating as.
It's called doing business as here.
Interesting.
Yeah. I just filed the paperwork. So we're whatever, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, Manitoba Limited, doing business as Maple Leaf Rubber Stamp. Now that's different. For instance, Shrugging Doctor is incorporated as Shrugging Doctor Beverage Company Ltd. It's actually Brewing Company Ltd, but whatever. But this is different because the doing business as isn't actually a legally binding, like that's not what the corporation's called.
Yeah.
It's just if someone writes you a check,
they can use that.
They can use that, basically. And there's some other benefits, but basically. And I can change that at a whim without having to file all this paperwork.
I believe my corporation is filed the same way.
Yeah, I think a lot are. But anyway, so...
and it's also a fuck of a lot cheaper to change your doing business as or operating as name.
It's like $50.
And also on contracts, payments, banking, legal, whatever.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to change because they'll always use your original corporation name for all those documents. So if you change your name in the future, it's a lot smarter to do that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. But, however...
Like how Snap changed from Snap Inc. or Snapchat changed to Snap Inc. Like that would have been millions of dollars.
Yes.
Just to do that change.
But so what's happening right now is we're getting some checks in from work that was done before I took possession of the business.
Yeah.
Made out to Maple Leaf Rubber Stamp. And I can't cash them because my lawyers filed the paperwork to do business as, and they just haven't gotten back to us. And I'm like, hey guys, and they're like, I know. Like, so I have like a bunch of money that I can't get access to because that corporation that they made out to doesn't exist anymore.
Have you tried contacting the clients to ask them to reissue the payments?
Well, I want to avoid that if possible.
Right.
And it doesn't matter. Well, all my bills come out at the end of the month, so, and it's only the 7th today, so
It's been a week, yeah.
We'll figure it out. They said current wait time is like a week and a half, but it was just funny to hear my lawyer being like, yep, once again, company's office is fucking us. It's like, yeah, that tracks. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do the things on their own timeline.
Yeah. But, yeah, so I think my next business, I'll buy an old folks home.
Real estate? Are you sure? You can go services?
You know what? So I have, I've not arguments, but I'm getting into discussions with people on my stock Twitter. Cause like I have a couple of people there that are like really, they're like, why would I ever buy real estate? I'll just buy a REIT. Like I'll just invest in a REIT.
Right.
And then I don't have to fucking worry about tenants. I don't have to worry about maintenance. I just get paid every month. Right. And then I have people discussing with them, not arguing, but like discussing back that have rental properties that are like, no, like the upside, much worth the extra work or the risk or whatever, right? And then I come in being like, you know what's great upside? You can't argue with buying a small business or running a small business. The ROI of a small business from like beginning to whenever doesn't get better. There's no better ROIs.
No.
Maybe some shit coins, but like
that. But no, not even shit coins.
I've made 4 million% on Shrugging Doctor.
Yeah, it's like nothing can touch the ROI, return on investment, return on effort, or return on time of a small business.
As long as you're succeeding, obviously, but but no, there's nothing that can fucking touch it.
No.
So, and then it's just funny because the people that are like, oh, I don't want to deal with a fucking rental. I'll just buy a REIT. Those the people that have like, I'm not gonna buy a fucking small business, I'm just gonna have a rental. Like it's the same logic, right? Where I'm like, fuck it. So it's like I've kind of almost maybe not found my business niche, but it's like this is what I feel comfortable doing.
Yeah.
Like I'm not really stressed. I'm always just stressed about money, but it's like I don't feel like this is like out of my wheelhouse at all.
No.
Buying like a small business, like I feel fun. Like I'm comfortable running it. Like it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but like where a lot of people I'm talking to, were like, Jesus, like last thing I'm gonna fucking do is buy a small business.
What about payroll? What about the liabilities?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, right?
It's like, well, whatever.
Yeah, you've already dealt with all that
yeah.
shit.
So
It makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's like I almost found my like what I want to invest in the future. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hardly passive, but like,
oh, it's definitely not passive. It's semi-passive at best when you have
managers.
When you have competent people, managers, partners, whatever, to deal with it.
When I guess like in theory, I just keep leveraging new businesses to buy more businesses.
Well, what also can happen, like I just made friends with a gentleman recently who just was really good at his job and then turned that into buying a small business, scaling it up really, really rapidly, up to where like he was producing huge for a big company, and he bought a small company and then basically scaled it up to the production level that he was doing at the big company. So he's like, oh, this is the same work I was doing before, but now I'm getting paid for it as an owner. And then sold that business, and it's like, okay, now I'm going to start another company. So like the liquidation and restart is an interesting path as well. Like he just got a bunch of cash and is like, okay, now what do I do? He's like, I'm 20 years from retiring, and I've got all this money. He's like, I'm not just going to put it in stocks and bonds. Like, I still got shit to do. I got gas in the tank. I want to do something.
Yeah.
So what do I do? And so he was shopping around for businesses, looking for different things to do. So that's how most people usually do it, is they sell a company and then continue.
See, I'm less inclined to do that. I like the idea in my mind of like having this like conglomerate.
Yeah, you continue to acquire and grow.
And then, after 3 or 4 businesses, I hire a full-time manager to do like big picture managing of the entire conglomerate.
Well, I think the general numbers are like a person can manage a team of up to, 5 people at like a granular level.
Okay.
So you could run potentially 5 companies, small, as like a high up or high level.
And then manage all those CEOs.
Right. You can manage up to 5 CEOs.
And then hire like an operations manager to handle those CEOs in the future.
Right.
And then eventually just keep going, right, you know what I mean?
But depending on the business or the level of automation or whatever, it can be 15. Like that number can be dramatically different.
Well, I guess it could scale more if I bought businesses like in the same industry or something.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So you could potentially run 15 companies before you need another person to help you.
Yeah.
Which is...
Well, and I have Zach, like my business partner, right? We bought this new business together and we own the winery together. So it's like we're splitting the responsibility.
So beyond that, all you could potentially need is maybe a personal assistant, accountant, and lawyer.
Yeah.
And then you're fine.
Yeah. Which that's kind of like what I'm thinking. Like I don't know. Like, 'cause I'm still not convinced I want to have kids, but I do like the idea of like legacy.
Yeah.
And I would much rather leave my kids and my grandkids and et cetera, in like as the owner of a, business empire rather than just leaving them money.
Right.
Right.
Honestly, I don't give much of a shit about legacy. I think if you actually, when you raise kids and you say, here's my legacy, I don't think there's a lot, there's just as many negatives as there are positives to doing that.
Succession theme starts playing.
Right, exactly. So I think just raising your kids fucking right and being like, here, you're set up for success in a multitude of ways, including like, you're in control of your emotions and yourself as a person. You're in control of your finances, and you have a plan for your career and your future and your life, and you also have the resources to do those things. However that looks is what matters.
Yeah.
Your fucking legacy businesses are not likely to succeed, and if they do, nobody gives a fuck.
I just like, if I'm thinking of small businesses in the term of like real estate, where it's like flipping houses versus buying and holding.
Yeah.
I was always more attracted to buying and holding than I was flipping.
But even still, it's just a thing that you buy and sell. It doesn't mean anything. There's no intrinsic value to that. There's no value to the person that owns and holds that thing. It doesn't make you a better or worse person. It's just a thing that you own. Like,
Yeah, no, sure, but
It
I
is-
guess like, but like the difference
it's
between
just a thing.
yeah, okay, well, like I still so like I said, I don't know if I want to have kids, so take that out of the equation. But like, when I'm running my businesses, it's like my winery employs 4 people,
Right.
and they buy food and stuff with the money I give them. Like that's kind of cool.
Yeah, but also reputation don't count for shit.
I have a good reputation.
Yeah, it what I mean is
I don't give a damn about reputation.
I think a lot of people are soaked up in the ego of like, oh, I provide all these jobs, I create all this value for my community, whatever. I always think back to like I read Principles by Ray Dalio, and Ray Dalio, arguably in terms of capitalists, one of the biggest, best motherfuckers that ever has been, and ever will be potentially. But he's like, I am a drop in the bucket. I am a ripple in the pond of humanity. He's like, I am fucking irrelevant. My name doesn't matter. My legacy doesn't matter. The work I've done doesn't matter. Nothing matters. And he's like, I have not made a difference or a dent that is noticeable to anybody. And he's like, and it took me until I was like, billions to realize how insignificant I was. And it's like, I think about that shit a lot. Of like,
That's why we start building the pyramids.
Yeah, if Ray Dalio, who's like moving hundreds of billions of dollars around, is like, this is fucking meaningless.
Well, he wasn't big enough. Here's the thing. My parents probably don't know who Ray Dalio is.
Right,
He's not a household name.
right.
He's got to get bigger.
But within his family, he's like, how many generations till my kids forget my name?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you tell your descendants.
Right.
Yeah.
How many descendants, how many generations till they just forget my name or forget what I did or forget anything about me except for the fact that maybe there's dollars in their trust fund and they're like, oh yeah, it was that guy. Whatever.
Yeah, your great-great-granddaddy.
Like whatever, and they're like,
Yeehaw!
they're like, yeah, whatever.
That's how Americans
they're
sound.
like, they're like, whatever, fuck him. I don't. It's people think about themselves.
Yeah.
So my point being, who gives a fuck about legacy? I don't think it's worth a lot.
I don't know.
I think there's an overemphasis on the concept of legacy.
I guess what else
like,
what else are you working
I'm not
for,
saying
then?
I'm not saying it's not worth focusing on.
Gotta
like,
have something.
like helping your kids, helping your grandkids, helping your siblings, helping your parents. I'm not saying there's no value to that. I'm saying thinking about the abstract concept of legacy is pointless. Materially helping your family and friends is good, and your community or your nation or your cause, that is good. Leave legacy in terms of that, but don't do it because it's good for you. Do it because it's good for the cause. And do things, outside yourself because of that. And if you think about it like that, then yeah, okay, whatever. But if you think about it as like, oh, I'm doing this act of charity because it'll give my kids clout, fuck you. That's stupid. Nobody cares.
You gotta do things for the cause with your Jello pudding sweaters. I'm really bad at impressions.
On that note,
He's a convicted rapist too.
who?
The cause.
Oh, do it for the cause.
See, my impression was so bad. Even saying like Jello pudding sweater, like you didn't even know what I was talking about.
Why would I?
Because he eats the Jello pudding snacks. So, Tyler, is there any frickin' which way thing that we talked about today? I really can't do impressions. Is there anything we want to talk about today that now that we're drunk you switched your mind on? Because that's the whole theme of the podcast.
I think all the Halifax fires are arson.
We talked about that off camera, buddy.
Oh.
And we're back. Thank you for listening to Alcohol Beyond This Point, the podcast where we debate topics that are drunk and then sober to see if we business the same conclusions. This has been Tyler and Willows coming at you
from allergy season and Willows sniffing into the microphone. That's my third beer.
It's actually
Thank you, Hector's. Hard
based. It's actually a spirit-based cooler.
Yeah.
Also, Hector is hard.
Hector goes hard.
That's your grinder fucking name. Can you have like a nickname on
Hector Grindset #hard cherry bomb.
Do you have a Do you have like a username on Grindr, or does it just use your name like Tinder does?
I don't have Grindr.
I almost got him.
The fucking notification goes off in the background.
I almost got him in this that trap there. Thanks for listening, friends. We'll see you next time. Ow.
Or not.
Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast.
This isn't two podcasters talking business. This is two business guys trying to podcast.